Bonjour. In this video, we're going to talk about les liaisons. What is a liaison? It is a sound that is pronounced between a word that ends in a silent consonant and the next word that begins with a vowel. Or, when the final consonant is not silent, it can be pronounced differently when followed by a word that begins with a vowel, so when combined with the following vowel. So when learning French, we often begin with questions and expressions related to greetings. And for example, formally we can say, comment vous appelez-vous? Comment allez-vous? À tout à l'heure. Or to tell time, we can hear, il est 2 heures, 3 heures, 9 heures, 10 heures. Okay? These letters, these consonants that are in red, are normally silent. So we wouldn't say vous, but vous. Comment, tout, deux, trois. This one is neuf and then 10, right? But when combined with the following vowel, either they are pronounced or they change pronunciation. So for example here, this vous, this S is silent normally, but combined with the A, it becomes vous appelez-vous. Same thing in this case, comment allez-vous? À tout à l'heure, 2 heures, 3 heures. In this case, this F, when combined with the letter E, because the H is silent, it transforms into a V sound. So 9 heures instead of 9 heures. Oui? And same thing in this case, 10 becomes 10 heures. So the sound changes. Okay? When these silent consonants appear at the end of a word, we can make liaisons. So this is a list of the silent consonants. Or when these consonants appear at the end of a word. So there is X, S, X, and Z, which transform into Z. So vous allez bien, 2 heures chez elle. T and D, which transform into the T sound. So tout à l'heure, normally quand, the D is silent, but when you combine with est-ce, it becomes quand est-ce que. R, normally it's silent, but because the enfant begins with a vowel, it's le premier enfant. Same thing with trop, the letter P is normally silent, but in this case we combine it with I, so c'est trop important. And as we have seen before, the letter F, it is pronounced at the end of words normally, but when it's followed by a vowel, then it transforms into the V sound. So 9 heures. Oui? Okay? And yes, the liaisons with S, X, and Z are the most common. If you have a nasal vowel at the end of a word, the following word that begins with a vowel turns that nasal sound into an actual consonant sound. So for example, here you have un frère, but then when you have the A, it becomes un ami, so that N is actually pronounced. Son frère, again nasal son, but here the N is pronounced. Son ami. Ça va bien, this N is nasal, and here it's bien entendu, so the N is pronounced. Okay, now we're going to go into types of liaison. We have optional, obligatory or mandatory, and forbidden. Optional liaisons are liaisons between a plural noun and the adjectives or a preposition that follows, or between et and son and a word that comes after. So so French speakers often don't make this liaison. Or between a preposition and the word that follows. For example, des étudiants. Oui? So you can say des étudiants intelligents or des étudiants intelligents. Des étudiants en classe ou des étudiants en classe. Il est 1 heure ou il est 1 heure. Ils sont intelligents ou ils sont intelligents. Dans une salle de classe ou dans une salle de classe. Oui? Those are optional. Oui? They are mandatory between articles and numbers and a noun that comes after. Between possessive adjectives and a noun that comes after, between a subject pronoun and a verb that begins with a vowel, after a short adverb. So for example, les étudiants, this is an article and this is a noun. 2 hôtels, number, noun. Vos écoles, possessive. Mes amis d'école, again, possessive adjective. Vous allez bien, so the subject and the verb. And très intelligent, so after a short adverb. This is a short adverb, so after that, oui? These are mandatory. Okay? And there was another one, sorry, trop intéressant. Oui? These are liaisons that always appear in these words. So, c'est-à-dire, petit à petit, à tout à l'heure, tout à coup, de temps en temps, les États-Unis, plus ou moins, avant-hier, tout à fait, quand est-ce que, et voilà. Now, which liaisons are forbidden? Which ones are never combined? So, after a proper name, for example, Robert habite, not Robert habite. Between a noun and an adjective that follows. So, un enfant intelligent, not un enfant intelligent, oui? After the word un et un, with numbers that begin with a vowel, so il est 11 heures, with and a number with telling time, so il est 11 heures, and then with an aspirated H, which is an H that is actually considered a consonant, so instead of saying les héros, we would say les héros. With the word oui, des oui et des non, and with a subject and a verb, so Bernard habite, d'accord? And finally, between an adverb that ends with mon and an adjective, so vraiment indépendant. So we wouldn't say vraiment indépendant, but vraiment indépendant. And finally, between two words that are separated by a punctuation mark, for example, we wouldn't say des amis énergiques, but des amis énergiques assis au café. Oui, so we make that pause. Et voilà, c'est tout. Merci beaucoup.